Hi, this is Richie with Gill Denson and Company. Today I want to answer the question, how do appraisal districts value property? And so this is an important concept when it comes to property taxes, understanding the process appraisal districts go through when valuing property. And so most appraisal districts in the state, if not all of them, use mass appraisal methods. These appraisal methods rely a lot of times, unfortunately, on outdated information. Texas is what's called a non-disclosure state, meaning when there's property sales, they do not have to be disclosed. Sometimes property owners voluntarily disclose them, but most don't. And so because of that, there's limited data on sales comps and sales numbers a lot of times. And so the data points that go into the valuation process for appraisal districts are pretty limited. And so because of that, appraisal districts try to use software and different modeling methods to come up with estimations and overall broad strokes evaluations for certain property types in certain parts of their county, etc. The byproduct of this mass appraisal method is there's a lot of inaccuracies. When you have bad data going in, or inaccurate, or at best outdated information, a lot of times the output of that, i.e. the values, can be inaccurate. And so, if you have a county that's trying to appraise 100,000 properties and they have a staff of 10 people in the appraisal district, it can be very difficult to go through and appraise and look at each property. So they rely on these mass appraisal methods, and it makes sense. But unfortunately for you, the property owner, it can mean you're paying more than your fair share in property tax. And so the way to fight back on this mass appraisal method in Texas is to protest your taxes. And so when we file a protest on behalf of our clients, we go in there and the first thing we're going to do is pull the evidence file for how the county came up with your valuation. And so in Texas, the county has the burden of evidence in these proceedings to come up with how they came up with the valuation. A lot of times when we get that file and we start digging into how they valued your property, we find a lot of inaccuracies. We find a lot of places where we can go in and make adjustments, introduce new evidence to the case, and get the value reduced. If it's, let's say, a residential property, sometimes they missed sales comps, or they don't know about certain deferred maintenance at your property, or they're not understanding certain trends in your neighborhood. And our local experts that have been doing this for decades understand those local dynamics and bring that to the hearings. With commercial properties, there's a ton of different ways that we can go about it. A lot of times, the appraisal districts try to use what's called the income approach. And when they're valuing a commercial property, whether it's an office building or a multifamily property, self-storage, anything else, they try to make estimations of what your income statement looks like on your income numbers, your vacancy numbers, your expense numbers, and they try to use that to value your property. But again, they're using mass appraisal methods. They don't understand your numbers, your property, your specific dynamics in your neighborhood. And so with that income approach, a lot of times we can look at your actual financials and introduce evidence to these hearings that is favorable for a reduction if they're using that method. If they're using the sales method, sometimes they're missing sales comps, and we can introduce those as well. There's also what's called the equity approach for us, which there's a law in the state of Texas that requires appraisal districts to fairly value one property versus another in the county. And so whether it's for residential properties or commercial properties, similar properties have to be valued similarly, and it's fair. It makes sense that you have this equity approach where one property is not being fairly unvalued versus a neighboring property. And so we'll do the analysis to look at how one property is appraised versus other similar properties to make sure the subject property, was valued fairly. And if for some reason there's discrepancies, which unfortunately a lot of times there is, we dig into those, introduce them as evidence, talk to the county about them, and try to get a reduction based on that. So in summary, the appraisal district uses mass appraisal methods, which have a lot of inaccuracies in their data, have a lot of inaccuracies in how they value properties. And the way to fight back on that is to protest the value and to hire an experienced team that has local expertise, has data, has knowledge, experience, and relationships that can be brought to the table and used in your favor. If you're interested in potentially learning more about protest services, you can visit our website. We have a lot of good resources and information on there that you can use and look at. If you have any questions, you can give us a call, send us an email, and reach out. We'll be happy to answer them. Even better, you can sign up just directly on our website. There's an online sign-up form called Get Started that you can use to sign up fully online. So we encourage you to do that. If you're ready to proceed, we'd be happy to represent you and handle the protest for you.